The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Wednesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Brought to you, as always, by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. Anthony Hartwig with you, like you know the deal on a Wednesday. It's me, it's Scotty Too Hottie. How are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great. Like you said, I feel like we're going to hit a home run today, to use a baseball analogy, where we both got the orange on.
We did not pre-plan this. You got the ugly orange with the Browns, I'm sure. Is it Browns? I can't even see. Is it just orange?
It's an Adidas.
Okay, well then it's all good. That orange could be anything. It could be Tennessee. It could be Bowling Green. It could be Syracuse. It could be. Can you think of any other orange? I can't think of any other orange. There aren't too many orange people. Could be Springfield. Could be rocking the Tigers a little bit. The Bengals.
Yeah.
Ew. I want that. That's worse than Cleveland.
Yeah, that is.
Welcome into a Wednesday episode of Running Point. We're going to have some fun today, like Scotty said. It is really hot out. We're going to have a lot of softball again and baseball tonight with the warm weather. Scotty, how have you been enjoying the sunbathing and the warmth that this week has brought?
Oh, I'm really enjoying it. I was out yesterday at work at the radio station downtown. It was absolutely beautiful. And then, I had to, unfortunately, as I do twice a year, I had to go to the dentist this morning to get a teeth cleaning. And, that's never fun. But when you roll outside and there's sunshine, it just makes it that much better.
Oh man,
that's why they say people in California, like, they're less depressed and stuff because they wake up and it's sunshine.
I've been to California. I don't know if you've been to California. I've been to California. The one caveat to that, different than like the Floridas and the Texas, that Pacific Ocean is so cold that at night, all of a sudden, it goes from like 80 to like 40 in a heartbeat.
Oh wow!
Like
yeah,
you are.
I do remember it dipping a bit because I have gone to California twice. I was in LA and I was in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really hot at the time in LA during the day, but San Diego, it was like 70, 75, but it would dip into the 50s. Like,
yep.
And
so
it's funny, people like would have jackets on and stuff.
Yep.
Me and my brother be sitting there. We're like, yeah, we're used to this. This feels like a heat wave to us.
No, I mean, it was a quick story, and then we'll get to our recaps from last night like we always do. But me and my dad were in LA. This was probably like it was actually the summer after my senior year, because I actually went down there to tour the USC campus and their film school, because I still had, little boy dreams of being a film director one day. So I got invited to a tour, which means I must have been doing something right. But anyway, I was touring the USC and the film school and everything. So we're down there in LA. we're walking around and it's like 80 during the day, but we're walking around and like as it gets into 4 or 5 o'clock at night, we see people walking. It's still like 80 degrees. It's still like a nice day, but they're walking around with like the jackets tied to their waist, right? Almost everybody. And me and my dad are like, what the heck is going on? And then as soon as that sun went down, it got to like 50, 49, 45, 50 degrees. And we're sitting here in like t-shirts and shorts going, oh, what's this? And apparently everyone was smarter than us because they had jackets on their waist they could just kind of take off and put on and be a little bit warm. So they knew something we didn't. We did not get that memo that it got very cold very quick in California down in the night, especially when you're on that Pacific Ocean, because it is a cold. But with that being said, a little bit of story time to brighten up your Wednesday. We will get into the recaps of last night's action, Scotty. Let's go into and start with the game I was at like we always do, so I can kind of talk about what I saw firsthand. Scotty, last night I did McDonald and Jackson Milton softball, and it's a rivalry as old as time. Last week we talked about rivalries, and this one is a big one as well. Blue Devils, Blue Jays, and it was a pitcher's duel, 3-2. McDonald was able to win. Bella O'Brien was just as electric as she was the night before, where she just gave up that one hit the night before. Came into this night, 15 strikeouts in the circle, Scotty. She was working a rise ball and she threw it at all different levels. And for those of you that don't understand, like when I say a rise ball at the three levels, good rise ball pitchers can throw a rise ball three different places. So one will be like for a strike, right at your chest. It'll rise up and it'll catch the top of the zone. Second one is kind of like the one that you throw in maybe a 2-2 count or in those kind of situations where you're not trying to get like a waste pitch per se. I hate that word, but I'll use it. And you're not trying to get a super chase pitch, but you still want something that's enticing, that's not too meaty. That's a rise ball that's just out of the zone, right? So it'll be like up here at your chin, maybe your neck, somewhere up there. And then of course the chase pitch where you're throwing balls at people's eyes and trying to get them to swing and miss at the rise balls that make people look silly. That you'll see that happen a lot on TV when you watch college softball. Well, O'Brien is able to throw that rise ball at all three of that spots with pretty good control, and she was able to keep that Jackson Milton offense for the most part in check. They scored 2 unanswered runs as they were trying to come back in that game. One run in the sixth, one run in the seventh, but O'Brien was able to nail it down and get out of that and shut any kind of comeback down. They scored on a RBI ground out in the seventh. So they had a runner on third with one out. RBI ground out, which, I mean, it got the run across, Scotty, but I don't think McDonald cared too much because they were still up by one and then the bases were cleared with 2 outs. So it was one of those situations where, yes, you're happy that Jackson Milton's side is happy that they had the situational hit. They were able to bring the runner across with the ball put in play on the right side of the infield, but at the same time, you've seen a lot of baseball and softball before, like I have. You'll sacrifice one run for an out if you're up by 2.
Yeah, or even definitely like you'll see a guy in baseball, for example, still second or still third. They'll just pretty much concede it to him if they're up by more than one run. So you see that a lot in baseball and softball, and it's got to be a definite shot in the arm for McDonald um, to get that victory. Not only get that victory, but silence Jackson Milton's. Like you said, they did have that was good situational baseball, but other than that, O'Brien was just rolling at
Right.
the top of her game. So
So, Scotty, get this. The 2 runs that Jackson Milton did score, both of them were unearned. So, even though there are 2 runs scored in the game, still no earned runs. And that means that O'Brien, still on the season, no earned runs at all. She still has an ERA of straight 0. And we are sitting here in a couple weeks into April. That's pretty dang impressive.
that's That's video game stuff.
You're right. That's straight up zero. This is straight up zero ERA. Like, what are you supposed to do with that? Like, usually you go up against a good pitcher and it's like, okay, they have an ERA of, maybe like 1 or an ERA of like 0.76, and it gives you that glimmer of hope that at least someone has scored on them. Like, there's a little tiny chance that someone somewhere has scored on them. But when you go up against a pitcher that has a 0 ERA, you're like, oh my word, what am I even supposed to do?
Yeah, it's like you're going up against, the unstoppable force.
Right. I want to do some research. Maybe we'll get this for next week. This should be a great trivia question for Ty. What the MLB record is for the longest when you start a season, the longest you've gone with a 0 ERA for a starting pitcher. Because that'd be interesting to see how long how long is the longest scoreless streak to start the season for a pitcher.
I don't know. I did see, and it was something I was maybe gonna bring up today. I did see that Shohei Ohtani in Major League Baseball, he set the Angels record for consecutive starts allowing 2 runs or less, with 10, breaking Nolan Ryan's. So that guy's pretty incredible. Not only can he do it at the plate, he's fantastic on the mound as well. But yeah, that would be a good. I wonder if we could stump Ty with that
I
question.
know.
I
Ty
think,
ducked out. He's not doing trivia anymore. He's scared of you.
yeah, he's ducking me, Anthony, because
Yeah.
I had serious momentum on Ty. I was stumping him quite frequently, and then I think he just got scared.
Scotty, you know what happened? You found out the formula, and he was scared. He didn't want the blueprint to get out there on how to beat him, so he just dipped out.
Yeah,
Dang.
exactly.
Back to this McDonald and Jackson Milton game, Scotty. McDonald gets the sweep. That's good for McDonald. On the Blue Jay side of things, though, I was talking to Coach Ciccolelli after the game, and she is fully aware that there's a big possibility that they could see McDonald again in the tournament. And with 2 games against McDonald, who probably will be a top seed, one of the top seeds at least in Division 4, with 2 games against them, that both were very close, very competitive. 3-0, but last night they gave up 2 runs in the 7th. So for most of that game, it was 1-0 throughout the way. And then this one, 3-2, a 1-run game where they were able to score a couple on O'Brien, whether they were unearned, but still score a couple. Coach Ciccolelli is really taking some moral victories away from this game. As many as you can without. No one really likes moral victories, but just like those positive vibes that if we do face McDonald again in tournament time, we know we can compete with them, and we know if one thing bounces our way, like softball and baseball is so easy to do, it's such a fickle sport, a couple of things bounce your way. They know they're right there in it, so they're not scared of McDonald if it pops up again in tournament time.
Yeah, with them playing those close games, I mean, do you think it's pretty much for when it comes down to it for Jackson Milton? Do you think it's pretty much getting one more player to contribute,
Yes.
be a little bit better, and then that could take them over the top, and then maybe they could beat a team like a McDonald, and maybe it is seen as a mini upset that people didn't see coming.
Scotty, their damage last night came with the top 5 players in their lineup, and from 6 to 9, just 1 hit, and it came in the 7th with a double. So I don't want to discount the double by Blackman, who's sitting in the 7th spot in the lineup. But from 6 to 9, just 1 hit the whole game. I think Jackson Milton, they just have to start to get a little bit more consistency 1 through 9, because what O'Brien did is he got a little bit of pressure with the top 5 hitters, but then the 6 through 9 would come in and she would just mow them down, and it it would extinguish any kind of pressure she had because she knew she could handle the hitters that were at the bottom of the lineup. So I think Coach Ciccarelli is just going to try her best to get a little bit of consistency from the bottom half of the order, whether that's rearranging people, giving a couple people extra chances, trying to put someone else in a different spot to give them a little bit more confidence, whatever it may be, whatever the solution is. I think that's what Jackson Milton's next step is. They have the pitching. Defense is there. They had 2 errors last night, but for the most part, made all the really good plays in big situations. And definitely pitching is there. So if they can just get some consistency on the offensive side, especially after you get after that 5 spot in the lineup, then Jackson Milton should be a really formidable team.
Yeah, like, and if you can get guys that are just, those, if you can get people to buy into, just being, maybe taking a certain approach,
Yep.
whether it's being more aggressive, getting after that first pitch you see, or being more patient, maybe a little more selective, waiting for the right pitch, whatever approach they take. If they could just go in there and gain some confidence, maybe the 6 hitter draws a walk,
Yep.
or the 7 hitter gets a blue pit. That could really kind of have a domino effect, I think, for a team like Jackson Milton.
Just for example, Scotty, in the 6th inning, like I said, Jackson Milton started their rally. They had the bases loaded with 2 outs, and the 6 hitter was up, and they were retired. And then the 7 hitter came up in the 7th and had a leadoff double. So just one at bat too late. If that lineup was flipped and maybe that hitter gets a double with the bases loaded, and it's a 3-1 game at that moment, a double probably gives Jackson Milton the least to tie, maybe the lead if it's a bases clearing double. So you just never. It's all about timing. It's all about timely hitting. That's the name of the game. And unfortunately for Jackson Milton, that double came one batter late, and it was a leadoff double. That run came home to score, but because McDonald was up by 2, I don't think they really cared that he came home to score. They gladly took the ground out for the run.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, you'll see teams do that a lot in
Yep.
baseball. That extra run, being able to be up by 2 runs instead of 1, it makes a huge difference, because not only does it amp up the pressure for the batters at the plate, but the people, everybody else on defense, and the entire pitching staff, they kind of relax more, and it's easier to breathe that sigh of relief with a 2-run cushion
So
rather.
3-2, McDonald gets the win over Jackson Milton. The final score, they stay undefeated in the MVAC. Some other scores for you from last night. We'll go through the scoreboard. Louisville baseball got the tight win over Akron St. Vincent St. Mary, 4-3. The Leopards continuing to prove that even though they lost a ton of senior talent last year, they are very good. They're very well coached, and they still have some players that definitely carry the standard that last year's team set. So a good win for Louisville, a 1-run win, 4-3. Big time for the Leopards. Brookfield softball continues to roll. Get this, Scotty. Abby DeJoy hit another home run last night for Brookfield. That makes 6 on the season and 3 in the last 4 games for Abby DeJoy. She is showing off her power. Miranda Nicholson was dynamite in the circle. Brookfield is rolling, and they have a big one on Thursday as they will go and host Champion for a big MVAC battle on Thursday. We go into the back to the baseball. Ursuline with a big win, 11-1 over Columbia in a dominating fashion against the Clippers at Scene Park. Softball champion got the win 14-0 over Garrettsville Garfield to sweep the G-Men. 4 flashes hit home runs in this game. Talk about power.
Yeah, man, 4 homers. I did see that headline on the website today. Like they, what they call the Oakland A's lineup with Canseco and McGuire in like the late 80s, early 90s. They called them the Bash brothers, the Bash brothers. But there was definitely some serious girl power,
So I
sister
guess this
power.
one's the Bash sisters, right?
Yeah, the Bash sisters. Like
Hitting home runs were Abigail Metters, Gabby Gratishar, Olivia Gray. They all hit home runs over the fence, and then to add to it, Morgan Davis hit a home run inside the park home run for a champion. Metters also pitched in the game and recorded her 100th career strikeout in the circle with 10 and got the win inside the circle as champion rolls 14-0. So both teams on a collision path, both teams with run roll victories. Champion versus Brookfield tomorrow. That should be a fun one in Brookfield. We'll continue the scores. Jackson Milton baseball gets the split in the series. They go to McDonald and beat the Blue Devils 7-5. Final score to that one. 6-2, Hubbard gets the win over Niles in the baseball diamond. So they sweep the Dragons. 2 games that were almost identical scores, Scotty. Hubbard on Monday won 7-2, and then last night won 6-2.
Yeah, you talked about them having almost identical scores. I think anytime, baseball, softball, if you could get at least to that 5 run, at least 5 runs in a game, you got to be feeling pretty good if you have, because you're always going to have a certain level of confidence in your pitching staff. So if you can get to that 5, 6 runs, I think that's like the real comfort area. So them being able to do that and get over the 5 and 6 runs, go over that or right at the 5 or 6 run mark. That's a confidence booster for that offense for sure.
We had a Dolly Parton special on the scoreboard for Springfield Waterloo on softball. 9-5. What a way to make a living, Scotty. Springfield gets the win in 8 innings over Waterloo. Maddie Lesnack on her birthday hit a home run and got the win inside the circle as well, pitching. So a great birthday present for Lesnack as she powers the Tigers past Waterloo 9-5.
Yeah, man. How do you that's a birthday present that's
I know.
going to be hard to top in coming years, man. You get the win on the mound and you hit a homer. I mean, that's icing on the cake, as good as it gets.
Literally, because it's birthday. I mean,
Yeah.
I love it, Scotty. We go to baseball. West Branch was able to beat Marlington in the EBC battle, 4-3 final score there. Warriors with a big win inside the conference. Pymatuning Valley baseball beats up Conneaut 17-0 final score there. LeBray softball wins 2 in a row. They get the sweep over Newton Falls. This time it's 11-0. Riley McDonough hit another home run for LeBray. She's having a powerful season at the plate as the Vikings win 11-1 over Newton Falls. Campbell Memorial came back on Liberty and they win 9-7 on the softball diamond. First conference win inside the MVAC for Campbell of the season. They split with Liberty within the 2 games. Salem pitching, it was good. It's always good. 11-1. They get the win on the baseball diamond over Minerva. 22-0. United takes care of Latonia in softball. It's a big score. Hey, I want to talk about this pitching performance from LeBray baseball. 2-0. They get the win over Newton Falls. Scotty, wait until you hear these numbers from LeBray starting pitcher Dylan Simpson. This is just, you talked about video games earlier. He got the shutout win, obviously. And then if you go in the box score, 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, and 3 strikeouts, which is like, he didn't do much. 72 pitches in 7 innings. That's just over 10 pitches per inning for 7 innings and a shutout. That's domination and efficiency.
Yeah, that's almost like the equivalent. You're getting every batter out on like 3 pitches. That's just super efficient there.
Whew.
Wow, that's
You know,
really impressive.
Scotty, not only is that impressive, but usually when you pitch a complete game in baseball, you play 7 innings, I should say. That usually means your pitch count is toast. Like you're toast for the max amount of rest days you have to have. I believe I could be wrong because I'm not privy on the I'm always forgetting the pitch count rules and how many pitches equal how many rests. But I believe 72 is under the number for 2 days rest. So I think Simpson would just have to have 2 days rest for the next time he goes out rather than the 3 if he were to pitch more than I believe 75 is the cutoff for 3 if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. If I am, please Dev absolutely let me know in the comment section. I never remember the numbers for pitch count limits for the OHSA and how many you can pitch for how many you can pitch for how long you have to be on break before your next outing. But I think 72 is enough there where he won't have to take the whole 3-day break, which is also impressive because, like I said, usually when you pitch a complete game, then you're toast for 3 days. Like that's it, you're done.
And if that is the case, I mean, he's got to be. I'm sure after a performance like that, I remember when I was younger and just playing baseball in the backyard, and there'd be games where I would have just one hit in a game. We'd play like a full 6 or sometimes a full 9, or there'd be games I had 2 or 3 hits. In those games, I was feeling myself. I had the 2 to 3 hits. I always wanted to get right back out there. So
Right.
I'm sure he's hoping that it's under the limit and he's able to get out there as soon as possible again.
Scotty, I guess the big question is: have you ever thrown a backyard no hitter?
I have never thrown
Oh,
a backyard no hitter.
dang,
I
close though.
have I have hit some triples. I have warning track power. I like to call it. I guess. Um,
Man,
I
warning
have
track
hit.
power from Scotty.
Yeah, I have hit some triples. I was pretty good with the bat, and my arm, I could rush it up there. I think people underestimate my speed, but I'm still trying to perfect a good off speed pitch, a good curveball, and
It's all
Uncle
about the off
Charlie.
speed. Change up curve. That's what you need to counteract that velocity. We all know that. Scotty, we gotta get together. I gotta go up against you. We'll have to see. I want
Yeah,
to. I want to know. I want to.
for sure. We
Backyard
got
baseball.
we
Remember
got
that
to
video
do.
game?
Yeah, remember.
Kenny is my
Yeah,
hero.
Kenny. What was his last name?
Oh,
Like,
jeez. It was something with a W.
yeah, I
And
don't
once again, if
remember.
you're in the comment section and you're watching and you want to and you know Kenny's last name from Backyard Baseball, the video game, hit us up. We'd love to hear it because it's out of my head. It's gone. It'll probably pop up on my head like this is how it works, Scotty. I'll be like doing the game tonight and it'll be like, oh, that's its name. Boom. And it'll pop up.
I
Kenny.
do remember because you click on all the players, and every player would say like a certain one liner, like they would talk a little bit of smack, and Kenny would always be like, he's like, when I'm out there, the rules are two-hand tag, so it's fair for my opponent.
For my opponent. I love it. I love it. Gotta love some old school backyard baseball. Back to some scores, Scotty. Champion got the win over Garfield last night on the baseball field to split the series. 8-2, the final score there. Flashes bounce back in a hurry. Crestview stays undefeated in the MVAC on baseball, 6-4. They get the win over Brookfield. Toronto was able to beat Southern Local, Scotty, 11-0. A tough night for Southern. We saw Howland softball lose a tough one, 13-4 last night. This is a big score, Scotty. The one that surprised a lot of people. Jefferson goes to Poland softball and beats them 15-1 in Poland. An absolute emphatic upset from Jefferson to even the series with Poland after dropping one to the Bulldogs 6-0 the day before.
Yeah, that talk about making a statement there. Um, you know, winning in that sort of fashion and putting up that many runs, you have to be feeling good, but also on the flip side, you know, losing a game like that, the beauty of baseball is in softball. I think it's the ultimate like short
Yep.
memory sport. You could just
Has to
flush
be.
it pretty quickly.
So it'll be interesting to see, one, how Jefferson keeps that up, and then two, how Poland responds to it. They both have a long season yet to go, so they can't let this game get them too high or too low, Scotty. We've always talked about that roller coaster that teams can ride in baseball. It can work against you both ways. Can't get too high if you're Jefferson. Can't get too low if you're Poland. A lot of softball left to play. Also on the softball field, Western Reserve gets the win over Sebring last night, 21-1. Final score there. Alliance beats West Branch softball 8-6 in the EBC. A good one in league play, but the Aviators come out on top. 10-0. Columbiana takes care of Southern on the softball diamond. They'll play again tonight in Southern. Canfield baseball gets the win in Myrtle Beach, 14-4 last night. Springfield baseball against Waterloo, 12-4 final score there. We have Poland baseball lost last night in Myrtle Beach, 11-1 final score for that one for Poland. South Range softball lost their first game of the season on last night in extra innings in 8 against Anor. 7-6, they were able to beat the Raiders in 8 innings of play to knock off South Range and end their undefeated season. Edgewood baseball got the win over Middlefield Cardinal, 8-5 final score there. Heartland Christian shut out Shocker on the baseball field, 10-0 final score. Geneva was able to beat Lakeside softball 16-6, a big day for Geneva. Southeast was able to take care of Warren JFK softball 19-0, the final score there in the Portage County matchup. Edison and Oak Glen baseball playing a really good game. If you like offense, this is the one for you, Scotty. 11-10 final score. Edison wins.
Yeah, that's a fun one there. I wonder how many long balls were in that one. If maybe we got an inside the park or
Ooh, maybe. Crestwood beats Grand Valley 6-3. Final score there. Baseball. Campbell baseball gets the win over Liberty 9-4 to sweep the Leopards. Edison softball gets back to 500 after a couple of hard losses in a row. They beat Weir last night 7-3. Final score there. Western Reserve baseball beat Sebring last night 27-0. And Brock Wellman throws a no-hitter for Western Reserve. So congratulations to him. No on the season. You gotta love no-hitters, Scotty.
oh yeah, man, anytime you can do that. This is a kind of a shout out to my dad because when he was in Little League, pitching for Camel, this had to be, I want to say, in 1974 something like that, and he threw a no hitter. He walked, I think, his second, or it might have been the first guy in the last inning, or he would have had a perfect game. But anytime you throw a no hitter, that I've always wondered, like, what does something like that feel like? Let alone like we've talked about so many perfect games on the network. to like. I mean, it can't. It's gotta be hard in a way to like just after you throw a no hitter or throw a perfect game, Anthony. Don't you think it's got to be a little hard, even though there's so many great high school athletes on and off the field that we've interviewed, and a lot of these players are very, they're team oriented and they come off mature beyond their years. But don't you think it's got to be a little bit hard when you throw a no hitter or a perfect game for you not to start feeling yourself a little bit? I feel like I would be like I'd get a little too arrogant, but
Oh man, Scotty's head would be.
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I think so. Probably. You know, that no hitter, you're gonna get a lot of notoriety. You're gonna get the headlines. You're gonna get people talking about it. You're gonna have people gassing you up. You didn't let it hit. And look, I know a lot of people are gonna say, "Well, they won 27-0." Of course, he no hit them. I mean, they're better than them. But the night before, I mean, it was Sebring scored 3 runs, so it's not like it's never easy. And there aren't. I don't think there are many teams that are just so, you're so much better than them that a no hitter is easy. Because, like I said, Western Reserve was the better team in this series, 21-3 yesterday, clearly. But 3 runs is still 3 runs. So
yeah,
it's really hard to no hit a team. Really hard to
it's
no hit a
kind
team, especially in baseball. You're worried about the pitch count. You can't stay in there for 7 innings. You can't stay in there for 5 innings if your pitch count's high, even if you're dominating. The other team maybe working long at bats and just taxes your pitch count, so you have to get out of there. It's hard to throw a no hitter. We've had a handful of them this year, one perfect game, but this is the latest on the baseball diamond. Brock Wellman throws it for Western Reserve. Badger baseball gets the win over Cheney, 18-8. Final score there. That's a YSN matchup. Edgewood softball, big win over Grand Valley, 19-3. Final score there. St. Clairsville beats East Liverpool in baseball, 7-3. Final score. Hoban baseball, they get the win over Canton Central Catholic, 5-1. Final score there. Lakeview beats Jefferson 12-2 on the baseball diamond to sweep the Falcons, and those are your final scores from last night. Real quick before we take a break and get back to what Scotty brought to the table today, like we always do on Wednesdays. Just a couple of scores that have already come in this morning from Myrtle Beach. Real quick, we had Ursuline softball get the win this morning over. I picked on the wrong one. Sorry. Ursuline got the win over Bamberg, who we already saw South Range and Fitch beat. 11-8 was the final score this time around for Ursuline, and Kylie Golden had a great day at the plate, 4 for 4, 5 RBIs for her, and Ursuline is undefeated in Myrtle Beach so far. We saw Canfield softball get a win this morning in Myrtle Beach. That final score against Kaiser was 3-0. Melina Toth, another no hitter for us in the YSN family, and Melina Toth throws a no hitter for Canfield. 7 innings pitched, no hits. 15 strikeouts, 2 walks for Melina Toth. She also had a good day at the plate, 1 for 3 for her at the plate. So that's no hitters. I always feel like are even more impressive when the game's close, because every pitch is just that much more stressful.
yeah, it's almost like a playoff atmosphere.
Let's see. We had, I think, Poland baseball was playing this morning. Their final score, they are. Let's see if this is still live or if this is just not final yet. Okay, so it's delayed. North Central is up 4-0 in the fourth against Poland in Myrtle Beach. Let's see. I think Fitch started at 10:30. I'm looking for a final score there. As far as South Range goes, they started their game, I believe, at noon, so they are live right now, and they are tied with Sherhaw 1-1, top of the fourth inning. South Range is batting. It looks like 2 outs, runner on first and second for South Range, as it will be Brogan at the plate with 2 on, 2 outs. So we'll see if South Range can get an RBI, and that opportunity will definitely keep up with that score and all the games that are going on down in Myrtle Beach between baseball and softball today. Is the teams have 2 more days down there before they head back home and get back to the familiarity of these area teams. They've had a good day. I don't think any of our softball teams have lost yet down there. No, South Range lost last night. I'm sorry. 1 loss down there for our softball teams, and our baseball teams have been doing pretty well too down there. So, so far from YSN's perspective, a pretty successful trip down to Myrtle Beach. So we'll keep an eye on the rest of those scores as they come in throughout the day. As always, you can get recaps for everything on ysnlive.com. Our content team is doing a really good job of getting as many stories up from the night as possible. So we will continue to do that up until first pitch here today. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have whatever's in Scotty's head, and then we'll also preview tonight's games on the network. We'll be back in a bit on Running Point.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
Hi, I want to tell you about my Trish Yearwood home collection available at Sheely's Furniture. With 2 locations serving Ohio and Pennsylvania, Sheely's is one of the country's top sellers of my home collection. And the best part? At Sheely's, you never have to wait for a sale. They offer everyday low pricing as well as a price match guarantee, so you can shop the Trish Yearwood home collection with confidence. Come see my collection with something to offer for every room in your home and get it all with free local delivery, only at Sheely's Furniture.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you as always by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day. We thank Greenwood for their constant support and sponsorship of not just Running Point, but everything that we're able to do at YSN. If you are in the market for a new or used vehicle, there is nowhere else you'd want to go other than Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. All right, Scotty. We do this every week. You bring awesome stuff to the table. We have, some time to kill before we get to our previews. What are you thinking today? What's on your mind?
Well, you were talking, Anthony, about the success of our softball and baseball teams down in South Carolina and in Myrtle Beach during the week. And you talked about how we've had good wins in baseball. And you did mention the 1 loss in softball last night, and the one team that went down. And you were talking about the South Range game, and they had the tough loss against, I believe it was Anor. But I just wanted to get your thoughts. I was thinking about this before the show, and I wanted to get your thoughts from just a baseball and softball perspective, because South Range, they went down in defeat because they couldn't, they couldn't come up with certain plays during the Texas shootout rule, the Texas shootout, and that's the rule where the inning starts with the runner on second base. So I wanted to know from your perspective, Anthony, in baseball and softball, what do you think of the Texas shootout rule? Because I gotta say, as a baseball fan and now more closely following softball, when they first implemented it, I wasn't the biggest fan. I'm like, I like the traditional, like play just a regular inning. It's kind of like a shortcut, but uh, the more time has gone on, the more I have fallen in love with the Texas shootout rule. I think it adds more excitement. I think it adds more strategy to the game. But what are your thoughts? Do you agree with that?
I agree with everything you said. I mean, it's funny in Major League Baseball. When you first saw it, it was like these guys are going to struggle because small ball in baseball at the major league level is almost non-existent at this point. Everyone's going up trying to swing for extra base hits, and it's like all you have to do with a runner on second, nobody out, is just get them over any way possible. And then it's so easy to score from third base with less than two outs. There's so many different ways to do it. But so many baseball teams were just like, I'm going to swing for the fences. I don't care. And then you see the guy pop up to the infield or something or strike out. And it's like, well, now that whole thing is gone because he can't sacrifice the run over for an out because runner on third with two outs, you still need a base hit. It just the advantage goes away. Um, but in softball, especially, like small ball is one of the most important parts of the game. You have to be able to move runners over on the small infield like that. So when you have a runner on second, that just adds to the intensity with nobody out. And um, I've actually never heard it called Texas. Like when I heard DJ say it last night, I was like, well, I've never heard that. I heard it called that before. I always knew it as the international tiebreaker rule because that's how they do it in the Olympics and international baseball and softball. It's how they always have done it. Even before the MLB kind of made it kind of a popular thing in the Little League and everything else, it's always been in the international game, extra innings. You just put a runner on second, nobody out. International tiebreaker, whatever you want to call it, though. I think it's fun. I think it definitely um, add some strategy to your game. And of course, in an event like that down on Myrtle Beach, you have to get moving, right? The field needs to be used for the next game. Time is ticking away, and you can't sit there and play endless 12 inning games because the pitchers won't let people on base because they're both pitching so well. So definitely an event like that, I understand it. I think it's fair because both teams get a runner on second with nobody out. So it's not like if the top of the inning, goes that way, then the bottom of the inning you don't get that. So it's on even playing ground. I have no problem with it. I see why people are upset about it because it's not traditional and it's not the way things have been done in the baseball and softball. The fans of those sports, for some reason, Scotty, maybe it's because it's a little bit of an older, demographic when you think about the fan base of that sport compared to others. But they don't like change, right? Baseball fans, especially, they don't like change. Like if you change stuff on them, they're like, "Oh, this is stupid. This is not good. This is not traditional. This is not the way I want it." And you know, sports change. What can you do? We've seen a lot of sports change over the years. Every sport has changed dramatically, probably even since the '90s. I don't think there's one professional sport that hasn't gone a dramatic overhaul in either style of play or rule changes or whatever it may be since the '90s. So you got to adapt to it. You're not going to stay the same.
Speaking of that, I don't think I've touched on this with you. I know I've talked about it with DJ, and I also talked about the Texas shootout rule, which we've been talking about on the show today. I brought up, but I wanted to get your thoughts. Speaking of change and things changing, what do you think about all the other changes as far as the major league go in baseball with the pitch clock and the bigger bases and things like that. And what do you think about these changes? And last I heard, they're shaving about 20 minutes off of what the games were last season in the years prior. Do you think this is kind of, maybe bringing baseball back a little bit? I've said for years that Major League Baseball, they've done such a horrible job with their marketing and
Oh, they're
marketing
so
their
bad.
superstars compared to the other sports. But do you think these new changes have given baseball a jolt, or do you think it's kind of gimmicky with the pitch clock and the larger bases to try to create more uh, steals so that in hand leads to more runs? Do you think this will work long term for Major League Baseball, or do you think they're gonna still be well behind other sports in popularity for years?
The one rule I don't like, Scotty, is the shift, like getting rid of the shift. That's like telling a basketball team, "Hey, you can't play a 2-3 zone anymore. It's just too effective. You can't do it. You gotta stick with a 1-3-1 or something like that. But you can't play a 2-3 anymore. You can't do it. It's out of your arsenal, and then take that away so offenses can have success against it. I don't like it. I think it's like if you can't tell Major League Baseball hitters to go hit the ball the opposite way, I don't know. Like that's all you have to do to beat a shift is hit the ball the other way. They're playing you to pull, hit it the other way. Go inside the pitch, and you're a professional hitter. You should be able to make that adjustment, but they haven't been able to do it. And I get it. The pitching is great, and they're obviously pitching, so you try to pull it. They're pitching you inside. I get all that. But at the same time, it's just I feel like that was part of a game, and I don't like saying that you can't put a shift on. That just doesn't make sense to me. Pitch clock, I know a lot of people weren't happy about it, but remember, I watched a lot more softball than baseball, and softball already has a pitch clock. Like you have 10 seconds to get the ball and get the pitch in. So I was used to the kind of like let's go, let's get the pitch, let's go. In international softball, you can't even leave the box. Like you have to have one if you want to take a break as a batter, you have to have 1 foot in the box at all times. So you'll see them like maybe step out a little bit with 1 foot to like fix their gloves or whatever, then step right back in. But I mean, I'm used to this whole like let's get the pitch, let's go. Because that's just the way that I've watched softball do it. So I'm happy with the pitch clock, and it's not even as it's what is it 10? Is it 10 seconds once you get the ball for a pitcher?
I think it's 20.
20 after you catch the ball from the catcher, right?
Yeah.
So even that, I mean, that's like I'm still sitting there like this is 10 seconds longer than I'm used to. But I just watch more softball than baseball. That's just what I've been kind of geared towards. I like it. I think it's good. I think like every rule change, these players are going to adapt to it, and it's going to affect the game less and less. I know there were a lot of spring training games where it got major social media attention because it was new. They weren't adjusted to it yet. You saw a lot of us like crazy. I can't believe that just happened. I think a game ended on a pitch clock out. They'll get used to it. They'll adjust just like every athlete does when they make rule changes in professional sports. And it won't affect the game nearly as much as it has in the first couple months of the season. I like the pitch clock. I'm okay with bigger bags. Even if it doesn't increase steals, I think it also just adds a little bit more safety, right? Because there's more space for you to step on the bag. You're not going to see people get stepped on at first base like you've seen before. That's why softball has the safety bag. I love the safety bag because you're able to just avoid the first baseman altogether when they're trying to make a play at first. You're able to step on the bag that's slightly to the left of first. So I like a bigger bag. I think it not only does it maybe increase the chance of steals, but it's also a little bit for safety too.
Yeah, definitely for safety. I think the Red Sox manager Alex Cora, he said before the season that the bags they look like pizza boxes, but
I wouldn't go that far, man. That's
yeah,
like
I think that's a little extreme.
That's one of the things you use in backyard. You don't have bases. Let's just throw pizza boxes on the ground, and that's first base. That's second base. That's
Yeah.
It's a backyard base right there. No, I mean I'm okay with it. I just don't like the getting rid of the shift. I think that's kind of silly. Um,
Yeah, I do too. Because, like you said, I mean, this is the highest level,
right.
best of the best. They should be able. So many guys, just shouldn't try to just completely pull the ball. You got to be able to take it the other way. So I do agree with you there. But were you one of those guys, Anthony? That I'm not saying you don't seem like, because how sports have constantly evolved, even going back to the '90s. There's been a lot of changes. You could look at even the NFL, and I think in
Oh,
the
it's way
'90s
different.
there was a lot more. You could play a lot more defense, and it was a lot more. There were a lot more teams. Use the running back were the focal points of a lot of the offenses, and not the quarterback. But did you ever? I'm not saying you were a guy that was opposed to changes like this, but were you one of those people like me that you love baseball so much that you didn't really care if you saw a game that was like 4 hours or over 4 hours long? Or did it reach a point to you where you're like, yeah, maybe it's a good idea baseball tries to speed things up?
I'll tell you what, when I'm there, when I'm in the game, I don't care how long it is because it's the atmosphere. You're there, you're enjoying the game, you want it to last. But I'll tell you, watching baseball on TV, there were times, and these were extremes, like outlier. I didn't mind a 3 hour game. Most games were fine. But there were games where it's like the pitcher is extra long and he's just kind of just standing there, or the batter has to fix his glove after like every single pitch. And I'm like, this is just silly. There were times when baseball would just get silly with how much time was in between pitches. Now those were outliers. Like I said, most games you sit and watch, they were fine on my end. There were just some games where it's like maybe that pitcher just wants to work at a slower tempo, or the particular team has a couple of batters that just like to take their time a little bit. It was just like 45, it felt like a minute between pitches, and I was sitting there like, you got to be kidding me. This is just, let's go. So there were outliers like that, but for the most part, I didn't mind baseball in the length that it was, especially when you're at the game, because like I said, you're there for the experience. You're there to enjoy the atmosphere. You don't want that to end. And I think that's probably the one thing that fans are mad about, especially the fans that are able. See, I'm not an in-market fan, so I only go to one game a year if I'm lucky. Like if the Royals are home when I go to Kansas City, one game a year. So for me, it's like, yeah, I'll go to that one game. I don't care how long it is, and I'm having fun. But now for the people that are going to a lot of Indians, I mean, I did it, all the Guardians games. Um, they probably don't like the fact that all of a sudden they don't get, they're not getting as much bang for their buck because they're only sitting there for 2.5 hours now instead of what they're used to, a 3 hour night, being able to hang out with your buddies and have fun for 3.5 hours. Now it's all of a sudden really quick, and it's not exactly what they're paying for. But I think to that extent, I think I saw an article that says that MLB tickets are a little bit cheaper this year than they were the last couple of years. So maybe teams have realized that and they've dropped prices. I don't know. I feel like maybe that article is full of it. I haven't bought a baseball ticket yet this year, but I saw something that said baseball tickets are kind of dipping this year in
I
price
think they
tags.
are, because I think a couple nights, the first game of the Yankees series, which I went to, I'm pretty sure you could get bleacher seats for like 11 or 12
Right.
bucks. Uh, so I think they have dipped. One more rapid fire, Anthony. Your favorite ballpark food? Go.
Favorite ballpark food. I like, and here I have the prop. I like the whatever you get in these little bowls, right? Whether I usually get the ice cream, like the ice cream in the bowls, but like the Royals have like Dippin' Dots in the bowl, and they'll have like the walking tacos in a bowl, which I think are fun with the taco meat with the Frito chips. But these are fun. Like I like the little hat bowls, and I have 3 of them here. I even have one that's signed. So I like the little hat bowls. Those are always fun to do. Giantly overpriced. Like, oh my word. But it's fine. You know me, I'm not a huge eater, so I'm pretty picky, but I like the
Yeah,
Dippin' Dots. I like ice cream, and I like the walking tacos in the helmet bowl.
nice. I had a couple of those back in the day, but I haven't got one. I need to get more of those little helmets.
Little itty bitty helmets. You can put them on your cat.
Yeah.
We ran out of time to preview the night, guys, but tonight's games that are going to be on the network. I'll just go over the games that will be on the network tonight. We have baseball from Badger. Matt Morrison's going to be on the call there, 5:00. Baseball from Lakeview. It'll be Connor Chavone on the call. Struthers comes to town. We'll have baseball from Pymatuning Valley. Sam Torres from 440 and Goal going to be on the call as Lakeside comes to town. And then tonight we will, well, I should say at 1:30. So already started. You can watch Canfield versus Bishop Ironton in Myrtle Beach. They started about a half an hour ago. Softball, we already saw Fitch play this morning at 10 a.m. Ty Bartel was on the call there. South Range is playing right now. You can go check that out. DJ Yoakley on the call. I will be in Howland as Pymatuning Valley comes to town to play Howland. So you'll be able to see the Lakers baseball and softball on the network tonight. And then also Ursuline plays Anor, the team that beats South Range tonight. Ty Bartel's going to be doing that one in Myrtle Beach as well. Make sure to stay up to date on our social media accounts for all the scores that come in through the night. And it should be it's a little bit lower of a sample size tonight. A little, some teams are taking the day off before tomorrow, but still plenty of baseball and softball to be had tonight and tomorrow. So that'll do it for today's episode of Running Point. Scotty, thank you so much for joining us like we do every week. We always have fun with you. Can't wait to be back next week with you. You got any last thoughts for today?
I was gonna say ditto, Anthony. It's always a blast for me, and I'm hoping. Let's hope my Guards can finally win a series against the evil empire, the New York Yankees. I haven't checked the score, but I'm hoping they could finally beat the Yankees in a series, even though it's the regular season. But I look forward to next week. It was also pretty funny watching Travis Kelce throw out a pretty abysmal first pitch at the home opener.
You know what I think happened, Scotty? We're at overtime. I don't care. I think he tried to throw it so hard he just spiked it. Like I think he went up there thinking like I'm gonna gas this. I'm gonna really gas this, and he just spiked it. I think that's what happened.
Yeah, I think so.
Like he went up with this like big tough guy mentality. I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna throw it as hard as I can, and he didn't release it in time, and that's why he's not a baseball player.
He almost hit Bieber too. Could you imagine if he like hit Shane?
Oh, Bieber's down. Travis Kelce.
He would be public enemy number one.
He did it for the Royals. Let's go. Scotty, do you want a score update on that Yankees game, or are you taping it?
I'll take a score update.
Your Guardians are up 3-0 in the bottom of the third inning.
Oh, I love it, baby. Let's
Runner
go.
Runner on first, 1 out.
All right. Good stuff. Thank you, Anthony.
You got it. We'll see you tomorrow on Running Point from 1 to 2. Billy Sloan from Jackson Milton will be on the show to lead us off at 1 o'clock. We'll have him live on Running Point tomorrow to talk a little bit of baseball with the Jackson Milton Blue Jays, who got the win last night over to McDonald. So make sure to tune in for that. We'll be back tomorrow from 1 to 2. Check out all the games on the network tonight. ysnlive.com/live is where you can find them. And we hope that you have a wonderful evening on this beautiful sunny day in Youngstown, Ohio. I'm Anthony Hartwig. That's Scotty Mincher. I'll see you tomorrow on Running Point. Thank you.